What up, what up, what up? Peace, peace, peace to you. Thank you for clicking on this video. You could be anywhere in the world right now, but you just happen to be on YouTube and you saw my face and you was like, oh, let me click on this video and see what this guy's talking about. So I appreciate you. Let me introduce myself. My name is Nos Nero. I go by Noise Over Silence, No One Similar, Now on Stage, North or South, No One Son, Matt Matthew, Mercedes Matt. Yeah, man. Um, and what we do here is we just pretty much kick it over an overall theme. You know, today's theme is if you had 24 hours to live, what would you do? One of my favorite songs ever. I was thinking about that today because there's a big conference going on right now in Brazil called the COP30, and it's about climate change and addressing what the world needs to do, and all the biggest countries are getting together so they can kind of figure out what they need to do. And that got me thinking, because first I was thinking about asking y'all, like, do you think that climate change affects you? Me personally, I'm on both sides of that. Like, on one hand, I'm like, no, it doesn't really affect that much, but there's no denying that it affects us because of climate change. The policymakers who affect the massive, they implement legislations and shit like that, and that affects prices, and there's no way around that, because we all, you know, have to work, and we all have to spend our money to eat, to travel, to just basically live on this planet. So I was like, man, what is even more an overarching theme to climate change is just life in general. And if climate change really is like an existential threat, you know, it's definitely a long-term thing. I don't think climate change is going to kill us all tomorrow, but what if we only had 24 hours to live? What if a massive tsunami or a massive earthquake, or like fucking the volcano at Yosemite blew up tomorrow? You know, what would you do? Smart Savvy was good. It's just you and me, love. There's two other people in here besides you and me. Thank you for hitting that thumbs up. Appreciate you. What up, Cuzzo? What up, what up, what up, what up? Thank y'all for joining me. So you go first, Smart Savvy. Unless you want me to go first, I'll go first. If I had 24 hours to live, what would I do? I would definitely jump right in my car and get to Georgia as fast as possible. I wouldn't speed, because I'm sure police would still be out there trying to lock people up for speeding. And if I only have 24 hours to live, I don't want to spend the rest of the time in a holding cell. So I do just above the speed limit, within 10 miles per hour. Get there. I drive to the house. I give my baby moms a warning, like, yo, I'm coming to the house. There's no saying no. And I'd get out the car. I'd imagine I'd be bombarded by my dogs, Indy and Henna, and I'd spend a good like 20 minutes just rolling around in the dirt with them. And then I'd go take a shower. Again, no permission needed. No permission needed. I'm just doing whatever I want. I'm like, yo, don't call the cops. Don't call the cops. I only have 24 hours to live. Is that really what you want to do? And then I'd wash up, and then I'd chill out with my girls. And then I probably wouldn't say nothing to them. I'd be like, you know, Daddy's gonna ascend to a higher plane, but I'll always be with you girls. So yeah, hopefully my 24 hours isn't like a universal 24 hours. You know, that's the way I was thinking about it, at least. That's what's up, Smart Savvy. I would do the same thing. Obviously. But what else? Let's take that off the table, because that's easy. What would you do, Cuzzo, if you had 24 hours to live? I'd definitely I'd go overdraft. I'd swipe my card like there was no tomorrow. And yeah, what else would I do? I'd go. Yeah, I don't think that there's much else I would do. But that's so easy, you know? That's to spend time with your loved ones. But what else would I do besides that? I'd probably spend like my last 22 out. Well, 5 hours of that would be subtracted from the 22. So 17 hours. I would be with them. And then for my very last 2 hours alive, I'd probably go to like a really high, the highest building I could go to, and like just go sit on the roof and stare off into the sunset. And hopefully it's like a peaceful passing. But that's me, man. What's up with y'all? What y'all think? Not too much? Not too much? I know it's a hard topic to really consider. While I give you time to do that, let's talk about what's going on at the COP30. Um, their agenda adopted developing countries emphasizing loss and damage, fossil fuel phase outs. I don't think they're ever going to stop using fossil fuels. I hate how they try to they try to act like, you know, we need to stop using gas powered cars, because they're still robbing lithium out of the earth to make these electronic car batteries, you know. So like wind, what are they called, the fans, the big huge giant wind fans, those things kill so many birds, and they cause so much pollution because they don't, when they phase them out or when they're broken, they just go dump them in like a graveyard somewhere. They don't even bury them, they just have them sitting somewhere, and they're probably cutting down forests just to have wind turbine graveyards. But if we connect that to a deeper theme, like there's some type of urgency, or is there any type of urgency that you feel like you need to have in your life? Is there any more transparency that you would like to see in your personal life, in your situation? Maybe some places that you feel like you could be more accountable, but you're not as of yet. That's why we want to talk about it. Let's bring it to the surface, community. Oh, Jody, what's good, cuzzo? Peace to you. How you feeling? How's Texas? For real. Crazy on the Rise says, I would eat seafood and swim, watch my favorite movie, pray and sleep. I hear that. I hear that. What's your seafood of choice? And what movie would you watch? That says so much about you, cuz. Olivia, you said that you would cook for everybody on your last day. That says a lot. Cause I ain't cooking. I mean, I would if I have to, but I try not to. Like I said, I run my credit cards all the way up. We going to the best restaurant we possibly can. But yeah, you know, it's easy to talk about this and like not capitulate. What's the word I'm looking for? Basically, just philosophize. That's not the word. Philosophize what we would do, because this is a hypothetical situation. But I feel like if I knew the moment I had 24 hours to live, I would definitely spend a good 5 or 10 minutes like looking at whoever told me that, like they were crazy. And then I don't know, I might buckle under the weight of that. Like I would probably sob for a while. But the world is crazy, man. I feel like people like why don't we live every day like it could be our last? Because that's not the way life should be lived. Like you want to live your days with some hope for tomorrow or next week or next year. Another thing I would definitely have to do is make sure that people have my passwords for like the things that they need to get. Like I have investments that I just don't want to be lost to oblivion because people don't have my passwords. So sharing the passwords is important. I will say that. Very important. And my favorite food, I would definitely just have mad fucking waffles. Like gourmet fucking waffles. Peach waffles, blueberry waffles. Have some eggs and bacon. It's important that we do that. It's important that we go out with our taste buds satiated. You know what I mean? Texas is better than NY. I keep hearing about that. I feel like that's a no-brainer. I don't know why, but I feel like it is just for like the cost of living and the power of the dollar. Probably like goes way further out there. Texas is known to be like their own state. Mr. Warren, thank you for the jelly friends. Thank you for the jelly friends. Appreciate you, brother. Always coming through. How you doing? How you been? Today we talking about what would we do if we really had 24 hours to live? And it seems like an easy answer. We automatically go to, spend time with our loved ones, but like if you could really sit in that in those pants. If you could put those 20 I have 24 hours to live on shoes. Do you feel like you would buckle a little bit? Just a little bit. I feel like I might. I'd be so devastated that I only have 24 hours to live. You know? When you got babies, man, you want to see those babies grow up. You want to see them thrive. You want to see them do their thing. You want to see how they impact the world. I wish I had enough time, to just like I would run up to the White House and try not to get murdered by White House security and be like, yo, you gotta hear this. You gotta hear this from a dying man. Like, put me on the news right now. And I'll do the fucking Rodney King shit. I'll be like, can't we all just get along, man? I got 24 hours. Do this for me. Also, another thing would be like, what would be the fallout from you passing? Like who or what would change because you passed? Definitely the people we leave behind, like the closest people to us. But I just hope, you don't have to write what would you do exactly, but think about it. If you haven't thought about it lately, think about it. And then do your best to fulfill whatever those wishes are tomorrow, because today is already over for the most part, for the East Coast at least. Y'all on the West Coast, I got a little bit more time. And you don't have to have the answers, It's really just an exploratory question. Yo, it's my favorite. Like a lot of the rappers in my favorite song, 24 Hours to Live. Of course, who is in that song anyway? It's Styles P, it's DMX. 24 Hours to Live song. Oh, Joyner Lucas has that song too. Okay, it's Black Rob too. The whole Locks and DMX, right? It's funny because almost everybody in that song kept it into. They're going into the police station to do damage. They're gonna spend a little bit of time with their family. I remember Jadakiss saying something about playing the lotto. That let me see. Mace's first line was he turned out all the hoes that was heterosexual. That don't even make no sense. I turn out all the hoes that's heterosexual. He meant to say homosexual. You can't turn out a girl. Mace. Ah, what a questionable lyric. He said smack conceited niggas right off the pedestal. I'd even look for my dad that I never knew and show him how I look in my Beretta too. I do good shit like take kids from the ghetto, show them what they could have if they never settle. Take every white kid from high class level, show them what Christmas like growing up in the ghetto. Teach niggas how to spin, stack the rest. He said he'd take every white kid from a high class level and show them what Christmas like growing up in the ghetto. How you know you dying on Christmas Day? Mace is such a good lyricist, but back in the 90s, niggas was getting away with all types of fucking technical errors. Funny shit though, funny shit. One less gooner in the world, IG. Facts, Mrs. Jones. Facts. I'd have to spend some time with my pops too. Definitely have to do that. So, I'm not gonna front, man. I am at a loss right now of what else would I do with those 24 hours. It's such a short answer, a short, straightforward answer. Oh man, I definitely feel like I have to write some type of a manifesto before I go to a manifesto to leave behind to convince people why they should never obey tyrants. Number one, why they should never submit to a totalitarian government. Why they should not consent to majority will, the will of the majority. I definitely have to do that. And I feel like the only way to get your manifesto read is to go out crazy. You got to go out in a crazy way, and then the news is gonna want to know what your manifesto is, and then the internet is gonna want to know what it is. Did I get that washer and dryer set sold? Not yet, man. It's still on the internet, and nobody's really hit me up about it either. But I gotta check it though, cause I got my Facebook notifications turned off. That's the only place I put it on was Facebook Marketplace. Omae sore nandayo. Omae sore nandayo. Just in case you're wondering, that's how you say what the fuck is that, bro, in Japanese. Omae sore nandayo. You said it, Mr. Jones. People don't be reading no more, man. I know that's I know that too well. I be having to get on people all the time, like, yo, just read. It's not that hard if you just read it. That being said, let's talk about terms and conditions. I'm so sick of terms and conditions. Everything we ever do on the internet now, they want you to read the terms and conditions, even though we all know that don't nobody ever read it. We just click, we agree, and we get on with our life. But I feel like the reason why we don't read terms and conditions is because they make them way too long. Like them things be whole, 5, 10 page documents. And we all know what they're saying is like we sign away all of our rights to hold whoever this company or entity is accountable for anything. And they're gonna use our information for whatever it is that they want to do. That needs to change. That's probably something else I'd put in my manifesto. It's like, yo, terms and conditions need to be terms and conditions need to be simplified. They need to be one paragraph, two paragraphs tops, and like just break it down to the nitty gritty, the brass tacks of what is being intended here. What is being intended here? Have you guys heard it? Yo, I was just about to ask y'all, have y'all heard any good music recently so you could put me on? Did y'all know that um Miguel, the R&B singer, he just put out an album not too long ago? And I didn't know. That's like one of my favorite artists in the world. And I didn't know that he had a brand new album. And he's never put out an album that I didn't like, but this album is different. I will say that, but I still love it. The man knows what he's doing when it comes to making music. Yo, you said it, Mr. Warren. Almost there is no not clicking on the terms and conditions and agreeing to it and being able to use the service. Like they should also do that. Like they should let you say, I don't agree to the terms and conditions, but I still need to use this thing. So let me. Life. Who is your favorite, Miss Jones? Who is your favorite R&B singer? Contemporary. Can't be old. Can't be an older artist. They have to have like music out within the last 2 or 3 years. New music. Mario, why would this not be a real stream? Come on, fam. How about I tap a finger? I'll clap a finger for you. Just for my R&B, Derek. Just because I'm a rule breaker. I don't like to listen. But what else? I'm happy to see that the morning show is still a real thing. I'm surprised that they've been doing a morning show almost my whole life, I want to say, but it's changed so much. I feel like what's her name? Angela Ray, she left. That was the last like good thing that they had going. It's just Charlemagne and DJ Envy. I thought DJ Envy was going to jail because he got caught stealing people's money or something like that for real estate. But I guess he worked it out. Shout out to him for that. Yes, sir. Mrs. Simone herself. Another one of my favorite artists, but I was posing the question to the chat, to the massive. Here she goes. Mr. Jones says, I have several artists that I like. Chris Brown. Okay, everybody goes straight from Chris Brown. Usher's good. Usher's cool. Mario, love Mario. Tank is really good. I've always loved Tank. Tyrese, yup. Jasmine Sullivan, okay, okay. So you got a healthy list. You got a healthy list. Um, and I listen to all of those people. I'm wrong about the Breakfast Club. Yeah, I haven't listened or watched. You know, I find anything I see like their shorts every now and again. I'll see like a short of them on YouTube, but how am I wrong? Every time I look at it, it's all I see is Charlemagne. They had Ben Shapiro on there the other day. Like that's how you know the Breakfast Club is. I don't know why they gave a platform to Ben Shapiro. That's crazy. That is crazy shit right there. But all I saw on there was oh, her name is Angela Yee, right? All I saw was on there was Charlemagne and DJ Envy. I love how it's a New York thing, but it's like they probably simulcast it almost on every radio station. Radio is weird now, man. I remember it used to be really regional. Now it's not that way so much anymore. It's like one station gets blasted. Do you think that radio's dead? Because everybody streams music. Nobody's like really tuning into the radio these days anymore. I think anything that has commercials, people kind of stay away from. Polynesian R&B, sure. I love how the can I say that's like the Asian part of the world? I love how they have embraced black culture, dare I say. And they have their own, like they have K-pop. Even I guess that's not like black culture, but they definitely they've embraced hip hop so much that they kind of have their own flavor of hip hop. And that's one of the most amazing things that I've witnessed in my life. Hip hop being 50 years old now and just being a worldwide force. It's always supposed to be meant for the people who have no voices in their society to be uplifted. But yeah, put me on, Mr. Warren. I'll write it down. Oh, Just Hilarious. Okay, I have no idea who that is. Hey, Miss Nettie. Everything is cool. Everything is crisp. No complaints. No complaints. Oh, his partner was in trouble for fraud. Okay. Yeah. I don't be paying attention. Lauren LaRosa, don't even know who that is. You like free as in monetary free? I hear you. Jada Divine, what's up? Okay, you gonna DM me the link? That's what's up. Are they embracing it or stealing it? Nah, they are definitely embracing it, fam. I don't think they could steal it. Nobody has rights to it, Nobody has a monopoly on hip-hop. Sounds like a culture hijacking. Y'all really think that? I don't agree. But let me know. Let me know how you really feel about it, because the whole cultural appropriation thing, I think that only really matters if you're in situations where like another culture appropriates your culture and they do things that you're not allowed to do with it, such as like, let's say so-called white people wear locks and they can wear locks in their professional environment, whereas a so-called black person wouldn't be allowed to. That's definitely cultural appropriation. But the Asian people, Koreans, Polynesians, Japanese people adopting hip hop and like breakdancing, graffiti, all of that shit. I don't think you can say that's stealing. What I said about cultural appropriation was, I think cultural appropriation is only a malignant thing, if you will, when people are allowed to do things, like people who are outside of the culture are allowed to do things that aren't acceptable for people to do who are authentically in the culture, if that makes sense. They're stealing it and twisting it into their own, but that's art. That's art, Sugar Daddy. Every great artist steals from other artists and they add their own flavor to it. I don't think there's any way around that. And I think if you're a founding father of hip hop or founding member of hip hop, because there are females, women, who are founding members of hip hop from the early 80s and early 90s, I think they would all be ecstatic to know that hip hop has traveled as far and wide and has been adopted by so many different cultures. Hip hop itself is an amalgamation of other cultures. It's an amalgamation of jazz, blues, um, funk, if you will, and just basic like drum patterns from other cultures, such as the Taino culture, or like, of course, every African state out there. But yeah, the so-called Puerto Ricans or Tainos had a lot of influence on early hip hop, and I don't think that they get enough credit. I don't think freestyle gets enough credit for its influence on hip hop in general. What doesn't make sense? What part? Mrs. Jones. And if it doesn't make sense, what? Yeah, what part doesn't make sense, and why doesn't it make sense? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Shifting the subject from what would you do if you had 24 hours to live to why why is other cultures adopting hip hop not okay? Do you want it to be, and are you thusly saying that you rather it be exclusive to black people only? Because there's lines in the sand that have to be drawn with that as well. I always bring that back to, how do you really know if someone is black? Is black just being a hue of skin tone? Because I feel like it's okay to argue that some people as light as myself, maybe some people even lighter, like there's albino people who are definitely white that are actually black. There are people who you look at and at a first glance you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely a white guy, but then he'll tell you, or she'll tell you, that one of their parents is like blue black, you know. I don't think I've ever really seen that, like a blue black parent birthing a white passing child, but definitely it happens. You know, it definitely happens. Especially like when you get to like third generation. You know they are stealing it. Okay, why the all caps, fam? I know how to read. I can see your text. But also, what hip hop artists? No, and you're not right. You're not right. You're not right, Sugar Daddy. Listen to any Russian hip hop. There are so many New York hip hop artists who've collabed with Russian hip hop, Russian rappers. I will say, Nori is one of them for a fact. I've heard Nori on a bunch of Russian hip hop stuff, and I'm sure there's more. It might not be on your radar, but Russian rappers are they're very in tune with like that '90s boom bap sound, and I don't think that it's not like they're not trying to collab with any of the original, you know, '90s rappers or even like the late artists. Like let me see. Uh, rated with American rappers. Oh yeah, of course Drake is the first one who pops up, but he's not American, so he don't count. The Yeah, but there's tons of stuff on here. You could see it right now. Of course, Nori is the first one. Nori is huge for collabing with Russian artists, I would say. So you got Cardi B on there, Bad Bunny, of course. Oh yeah, there's that song Itjima. I love that song. I think that's a Korean artist. Keith Ape. Okay, you got YG and Tyga collaborating with a dude named John Z. And John Z is a Latin rapper, a Latin artist. Yeah. You got Snoop Dogg with Psy. You got Snoop Dogg and a Korean right there. Need I say more? The Golden Lotus, what's up, girl? How you doing? How you doing? Jose, what's good? The Golden Lotus said DNA does some interesting things for sure, like those twins where one looks white and the other looks black. I've never seen those. Um, but yeah, I'm sure they're out there. Sure, they're out there. You got the French. Do the French count? I feel like the French Could damn near be black people. Considered black people. There's so many black French people that I know. Yeah, and then there's this Japanese female art hip hop artist. I can't remember her name right now, but she's actually half black, half Japanese. So is she appropriating? I don't know. Very interesting stuff. Sugar Daddy's laughing at the Russian hip hop thing. Yeah. Miss Jones says, yeah, she is. How is she appropriating, Mrs. Jones? She's half black. How? Have I ever seen someone shaped like appropriation? I don't even know what that means, Mrs. Divine. But to answer your question, no, I don't know what the shape of appropriation is. But yeah, like I said, man, I think appropriation is really just it's uh it's it's a term that we can accurately describe when someone outside of a culture is allowed to do something when someone inside of the culture is not. And that usually happens in a business setting. Like there has to be some dynamic or element of power being involved. Someone saying, that's okay for you, but not you, even though this is your culture and not theirs. I thought it was funny, Jada. But you're not telling me why, Mrs. Jones. Why? Why, my love? I know you think she's appropriating, but why and or how? If she's really black, how is she appropriating? It's her culture. She can't help that she was born half black, half Japanese in Japan. And she speaks Japanese and English. And she raps in both languages. It's really dope to see. She cute too. Cute. What do you think, Dad? Do you think that Asian people are allowed to be rappers if they want to be? See? There you have it. And my dad is as old school as it gets. Isn't that tennis player Naomi half black and half Japanese? Maybe. Probably. I think I know who you're talking about. I do, and she's like really good too, right? Like she's like top 10 ranked in the world or something. Did I tell y'all about how I learned how Japan, I mean they're trying to change their image now, but Japan was the Japan that we know of, the modern day Japan, was very racist in its inception. And I won't say too much more of that because I last time I talked about it, I didn't know enough to talk about it, and I was just like, man, I got to do more research on this. But basically, the modern day Japanese person is they're all immigrants from like three different groups of Chinese people, and they came into what we know as Japan now and slaughtered the same way like the British and the English and the Dutch and the Spanish came over to America in the 1400s, and they slaughtered the indigenous people here. That same thing happened in Japan, and from what I know, they were darker skin colored original inhabitants of Japan. So what about that now? You know? Like if if the headlines are correct, Japan is like paying people to move over there, especially black people, to move over there and help solve their epidemic of, like, their population is dwindling because people can't have babies for some reason over there. I wonder if it has anything to do with those bombs that we dropped.
Probably does.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Who knows?
So there they asked up.
Yeah, we dropped two nuclear bombs on them.
And then ran over there to help the rebuild.
Thank you for that, Mr. Warren. Appreciate that. And I love how you said straight from the heart of Hawaii, because I often forget that the native Hawaiian is Polynesian, right? Yeah. I often forget about that. When you said Polynesian, I was thinking like Thailand, but you were talking about Hawaii. It's not about race. She's not of the culture. Opinions are like assholes. Wow, Mr. Jones. You're very zesty today. So keeping it in the framework of what you said, opinions are like assholes. The fact is that girl is half black. And you're saying it's not about race. It's about the culture. So let's look up the definition of culture. Let's keep it factual, shall we? Definition of culture. Culture is the arts, beliefs, customs, institutions, and other products of human work and thought considered as a unit, especially with regard to a particular time or social group. So if we're saying she's not of the culture, you would have to qualify how she is not of the art, the belief, the custom, the institution, or other products of, in this case, we're talking about hip hop, the hip hop culture, and thought considered as a unit, the hip hop thought considered as a unit, especially with regard to a particular time or social group. Yeah, I don't see how she's not part of that culture, or she's not of the culture, when she probably was a hip hopper since she was born, you know? Her dad, I don't know if her mom or dad, I think she said her dad was black. Let me actually figure out who we're talking about. Japanese rapper girl. What's her name? Oh, there's a bunch of them. Wow. There's so many of them. Damn, I had no idea. No! I love to see it, man. Yo, matter of fact, there's the anime Dan to Dan, right? If you go to the first season, that intro is one of the best intros ever in all of anime. Even Lumi will tell you, my 1-year-old, every time she hears it, she goes she loses her mind. She dances all over the place, and that is a Japanese rapper. So I'm just speaking on behalf of the forefathers. Like, if KRS-One was in this conversation right now, I feel like he would disagree with you, Mrs. Jones. And that is literally the teacher of hip hop. They don't even have the girl that I'm talking about. I just know she's got mad tattoos. She's got like gold teeth everywhere. Good talk though. It's a nice little dive. She's still not popping up. She's got such a distinctive face. I know I would recognize her as soon as I see her. Wait. Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong, or I'm not saying you're wrong or I'm right and you're right. I'm just fielding the discourse. But I'm sorry to see you go. I think I'm gonna stop around 8 too because I gotta get on the phone with my young ones. So in about 9 minutes. 9 minutes would try to, uphold the hour long discourse that we always do. But this has been fun. It's went somewhere I didn't expect it to go. Talking about what would we do if we had 24 hours to live, and or cultural appropriation. I love talks like that, man. Yeah, she's not popping up anywhere. I see her on Instagram a bunch though. Black with tattoos. Why is Google trash today? Because I know you know who I'm talking about, the Golden Lotus. I know you've seen her before. You be on Instagram. I've seen her a bunch of times on Instagram. I changed my 24 hours to now. I'll ban cultural appropriation. You would have such a hard time, Mrs. Jones. You would just have to be a dictator. You were like, no, you can do it, but you can't. I think that cultural appropriation is a subject that bans far and wide to different things like hair, to dressing, to music. I said hair to dressing. Hair dressing, fashion, music, even food. Like we are Japanese people not allowed to make baked mac and cheese now? Is that cultural appropriation? Cause oh, actually, yeah. So Korean fried chicken was taught to them in the Korean War by black people, and now when they come over here and they have these Korean barbecue spots, and their fried chicken is probably some of the best fried chicken anybody has ever had anywhere. Like they've mastered it in a way where if you go to any like soul food spot, it usually be hit or miss. But most of the time when you go to, if you go to a Japanese spot or a Korean spot and you order their, I can't think of it. What's the name of Japanese fried chicken? They have their own name for it. Karaage. There we go. Karaage. Their fried chicken is the most moist, most succulent. It's amazing. They be doing that shit. They be doing that shit. Let's turn it on its head too. Cause people always steal from black people. We already know that. Cultures are stealing from black people all over the world almost every day. because we are the gatekeepers of cool, as people say. But is have black people or black culture in any way, any facet, ever borrowed from another culture? Right? Is that even possible? Karaage, yes. You said it, Mr. Warren. Thank you for the sticker, Galina Nee. Do I speak Russian? No, unfortunately, I don't speak Russian. I used to know a few words when I had a Russian friend that I used to kick it with all the time. But I've had like 3 or 4 really good Russian friends. I love Russian people. I love their culture. Um, I've met a few like real Russian mobsters in my lifetime. The Russian mob controls a lot of what goes on in like the docks and the ports, and still very cool characters. Nonetheless, have a lot of respect for Russian people. Ms. Jones said, "No, we don't. We created everything. We did create almost everything. I will agree with you on that. There's not too much that we didn't create. I mean, when you really think about it, if we are the original people, you know, as they say, even if, you know, other cultures or other races get credit for inventing things, I'm sure some black, so-called black person helped them along the way, or maybe even did the actual work and then their shit was just stolen. I'm sure that's happened a bunch. But shout out to the Dogon tribe of Mali, man. I was just reading about them the other day. I've read so much about them throughout my life. But the Dogon tribe of Mali knew about the Sirius binary star system. I don't know. They knew about it as long as they've been around. And the Western world, should I say white people, I'm not trying to shade white people for being white or being called white, but let's just say the Western world didn't didn't identify or verify the binary star system in Sirius until about 50 years ago, or maybe now like 75 years ago. But that just goes to show you, man, we've been around for a long time, seen many things, kept many stories alive through word of mouth. Shout out to all the griots, the African griots, who keep stories alive just through word of mouth, stories that don't get written down. We definitely do, man. We definitely do. Another. I got a minute and a half left. So I know this is gonna hold us up a little bit with this conversation, but do you all feel, being members of the black community, that we can at times be, let's just say, condescending to other races because we know how good we are, because we know how much we've contributed to the world, because we know that we're the original humans, dare I say? And I would say, yeah. I would say, yeah. I've seen it. And in a lot of ways, I applaud it because I'm like, yo, somebody's got to do it. We have to have pride in who we are after who we are was literally like beat out of us, was slaughtered out of us, you know? Like they didn't want us to speak our language when they brought us out here. If we were caught, telling our tribal history, our stories, we were put to death for it. So much atrocity has happened to us just because of who we are as a people of a distant land. And I say that with the knowledge of knowing that we were also here before the colonizers got here. Um, the Moroccan Empire was so large at one time that the Moroccan Empire is given credit for civilizing a lot of the Western world. I don't know if you guys have seen Hidden Colors 1, 2, and 3, maybe even 4, but it's very enlightening to see that all of that happened, and yet we were still enslaved. And it makes me wonder sometimes if, like I often ask myself, what is the existential hate that the so-called white people have for dark-skinned complexion people, so-called black people? What is that? Where does that come from? You know, and I just entertain the idea sometimes that maybe in prehistory, maybe like we were enslavers. I don't know. I wasn't there to tell you, and there's not much history to say that, but it's like, where does this innate disdain for people of color come from? I talk about it a lot on these lives. I think that's like the 5th time I brought this one thing out. So you already, Cuzzo, you said it. People put race as their idol, and we need to move on from that. Exactly. We make race such a huge deal. And for me, it's like it's a non-starter for me because I'm multiracial. So but because of that also, I feel like I'm able to field so much of that, so much of both sides, and really try to digest and comprehend what it's all about. Mr. Warren says, "Are black people condescending? Well, I have privilege, but I'm in the cut. I don't want people to know what I got going on, so I accept condescending attitudes towards me because they think they know me." Yep. Yeah, laughing is all you can really do sometimes. That's a really good approach to, instead of being triggered or deflecting or defending or like basically getting defensive. A good way to be is just to take it as humorous. I was, the thing that I watched before I went live here was about a Harvard graduate attorney who has like all these awards and accolades, one of the best attorneys in the world, has won cases in the Supreme Court. He says, and sometimes when he has cases in like middle America, he often gets to court early, and he's had judges walk in, look at him, and tell him that he needs to go. This is like 2025 too. He says judges will walk in and tell him that he needs to go wait in the hallway because defendants can't be in the courtroom without their attorneys, and then he has to laugh. That's his defense for it. He laughs and stands up and says, "Oh no, I'm sorry. I haven't introduced myself. I'm the attorney." And this is 2025. We're still dealing with this. So like, it really matters in situations where power is involved. When power is not involved and it can go either way, like it's just a non-starter. But when we're talking about people's lives and like being the difference between someone being free and someone being put in prison, it's very pertinent that we address what's going on and like approach it in a compassionate way. Like I have no compassion for, I was about to say white racist people, but I don't think you can be black and be racist. You can be there. There's probably a difference between being prejudiced and being racist. Racism stems from you having a position of power and being able to withhold some type of access to someone just because of the hue of their skin. So that's a racist. And I think, you know, white people in America, um, Japanese people in Japan can be racist. Donald Trump recently said that he won't go to like the G20 summit that's being held in South Africa because South Africa allows land to be taken away from white farmers. I mean, didn't the white people steal it first? You know, I don't. It's a it's a quagmire to say the least. Good night, Mrs. Jones. Have a beautiful night. Sleep well. Rest easy. I will see you in a couple days. Yeah, I talk about this a lot, the Golden Lotus. It pops up because it's just it's a big subject, and it's so much of my conversation stems out of it. Like, what is really going on here? Like, I'm always trying to figure out what's people's problem with other people. And when people have a problem with other people, 7 out of 10 times it's because those people simply look different than them. Like, they're not in the same in group as them. We're humans, from what I've read, are inherently tribal animals. So we often side with things that are familiar. And those things often happen to be people who look like us. So, yeah, man. I talk about it a lot. And I just like for people to think about it. I think that this is a good space for that. That's why we're cousins, Olivia. I'm the same way. I'm the same way. All my not all of my cousins, but I have dark skinned family who, when I used to pop up, walk through the front door for whatever event, they'd be like, "Oh, white boy." One of my favorite cousins, Peter, he always used to call me a white boy. And I never let it bother me. I was like, "Oh, that's just, that's him." But then to the so-called white people, they'll look at my hair and they'll be like, "Oh, this guy's a black guy." So I think the only time that I could remember, like, really being in a racist situation was this time that I was talking about in my last live where I got arrested. Was it Christopher Street? Yeah, I think it was the Christopher Street subway station where I got arrested for walking through the door instead of going through the turnstile. That was a blatantly racist situation. But I feel like we are definitely gonna move past it once, like, the people from the 50s and 60s. Nah, I can't even say that because they have children and they raise their children to be a certain way towards other races. So it'll be a thing for probably another 50 years. But I think at some point in, like, the year, let's say 2100, racism isn't really going to be on the radar at all. Everything is going to be class. Everything is going to be based on economics. Because I think hip hop is changing a lot of that. We were talking about before, hip hop is in so many spaces now with almost so many, every race that there is participates in hip hop in some type of way, so they have an appreciation for its roots. Hopefully, I'm about to sneeze. No, I'm not. All right, boom. But I'd like to say that it's gonna diffuse. It's gonna die. Racism as a institution is gonna diffuse within the next like 80 years, just because all of humanity is biracial. Like even people who don't acknowledge it, you're biracial. Are there any pure-blooded people in the world anymore? Who knows? I don't think so. I do not think so. Family. I'll be right back. All right, I was looking for my. Oh, here it is. Nice. Don't die. Whew. All right, 808. 808. Thank you all for joining me. I always say if you love critical thinking, if you love freedom, if you love hard conversations to have, if you love watching vlogs from a guy just get it out the mud, if you love watching dad life, family style vlogs, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you're in the chat right now and if you've gotten anything from any of these conversations that we've had, consider hitting the thumbs up, maybe hyping the video in the comments. And just so you know, I do these lives every even day around 6:30, 6:30-ish. And it's a good time. Today we talked about what would you do if you had 24 hours to live. It turned quickly into a conversation about cultural appropriation. And yeah, we're going to let this live on the internet forever. Thank you all for joining me. And I'm going to go ahead and end this out. It's been a beautiful conversation. I'm going to send us off with a prayer. To the one of us that is many, I come to you in total awareness. Please grant my friends peace, progress, prosperity, patience, and persuasion, pleasure, and panacea in this ever-persistent moment of now. Ashe Aho Amen and like Alaken. Peace to you all. See you next time. Until then, live as strongly and purposely. Is that the word? Purposely as possible. All right.